So, wild party politics. Big story here in The Sun, 22nd October 2016. Okay, so what's happened here? Alleged rape in Commons highlights debauched culture. So what's the claims here? So the claims are coke snorted on the Home Secretary's desk. Drunk aides have sex in courtyard. Interns targeted in hunting season. So there's a hunting season where they try to get the interns. Okay, so what's going on here? The scent of power is a powerful aphrodisiac, even more so when mixed with the naked ambition of young political wannabes and lubricated with copious amounts of taxpayer-subsidized cheap booze. Welcome to Westminster, where for an army of parliamentary aides, politics is one big party. The alleged rape of a woman by a Tory aide Sam Armstrong, 23, in Parliament a week ago has shown a spotlight on the wild excesses of these high-achieving young graduates who act as government staffers, mostly low-paid dog's bodies. They work hard all week, and when their political masters return to their constituents, play even harder. One told The Sun, "As a spin doctor, I could have given a good version of events. We are all public servants working all hours for our country and deserve to unwind after a long break. Or I could say that like when mommy or daddy go away and leave the teenage kids at home, and they have a massive party, demolish the drinks cabinet and throw up all over the garden. Tales of monster drinking sessions, drugs, and sexual adventures are rife among the numerous bag carriers." One recalls a legendary party where long lines of cocaine were reportedly snorted off the ornate desk of a former Home Secretary. Another tells of when a senior Tory MP unexpectedly returned to his office late on a Thursday night. Flinging open the wood-paneled door, he found his researcher and a female colleague at it against the bookcase. Enraged, he threw them out but greeted the aide in the following Monday as if nothing had happened. No one's ever said about it. More than 14,500 householders have access to the parliamentary estate, while some are peers and civil servants. The vast majority serve as support staff to the 650 MPs. Okay, the story continues. Tory HQ was an absolute bonking shop. Most are in their early 20s, fresh out of Oxford or Cambridge, with dreams of becoming MPs one day, albeit not quite ready to let go of their university partying days. In the cosseted corridors where bars and restaurants serve cheap food and drink, they find a welcome home from home. In the late 80s, fresh-faced Oxford graduate David Cameron became a £10,000 a year researcher at Conservatory's central office. One contemporary called it was an absolute bonking shop at the time. Only last year, Tory Robert Halfon, then 46 and minister without a portfolio, admitted to having an affair with PR exec Alexandra Patterson, 30, who was the chair of the party's youth wing. The MP for Harlow is now an education minister. Another Westminster source said, "The ruthlessly ambitious girls and boys today are earning around £20,000 and live in the tiny flat shares not more than a 15-minute walk or 30-minute stagger from Parliament. It is the centre of their lives for work and socialising. Parliament has around a dozen watering holes. One is Stranger's, which banned a beer company called Top Totty in 2012 after a complaint from then Shadow Equalities Minister Kate Green. Another is the Lord's Bar, a favourite with Tories and middle-aged secretaries, with a plastic furniture giving it a cafeteria feel. But they open a polished wooden door and you can step on possibly the most exclusive beer garden in London, the Lord's Terrace, next to the Thames. There, a posher researchers quaff 32-pound bottles of vintage champagne, subsidized by the taxpayer, naturally. In 2010-2011, the public helped pay for £6 million worth of refreshments and catering bill for MPs and their staff. The bill has since halved, but £2.5 million of taxpayer cash is still spent on the lavish cafeteria, catering facilities and keeping beer at £3 a pint. That's cheap. And it's not just MPs who have access to the bars, as once they leave for their constituents on a Thursday afternoon, many of the new liberated aides take full advantage. One year there was a Thursday afternoon leaving for one of the Tory secretaries in an area affectionately called the dungeon, owing to its windowless spot beneath the Commons chamber. One reveller said, "Drinks flowed and a cognac started, a cognac that became so rowdy that it could be heard by MPs above. A couple of clerks had to be dispatched to tell them to keep the noise down." Another popular bar is the Sports and Social Club, the equivalent of a Wetherspoons with a pool table. Colorful carpets, pine paneling, and even more cheap booze. Last year, former barman John O'Sullivan recalled, some of the female MPs would guzzle 2 bottles of wine, then slope off the Sports and Social in hope of betting a young, impressionable researcher. It was well known that the late-night pickup spot. According to one of the political sources, as people got more drunk and spilled into the courtyard, some were caught pleasuring each other behind a bin or parked car. Although the security to enter the parliamentary estate is strict, pass holders can bring a guest. Now, thanks to pickup apps such as Grindr and Tinder, it is said to be common for excitable aides to drain their last glass of champagne and then open the app and swipe right on a nearby contact for further entertainment. They then meet in the massive oak doors of the Westminster Hall, inside the secure zone. One source said all the visitors had to do was to go through the metal detectors and scanners as they are meeting a friend, and as long as they stay with the pass holder, they can be shown the central lobby and Churchill's famous statue. It is strictly against the rules, but it always bowls them over. Before it was closed during evenings a few years ago, the palace roof was another place where researchers loved to drink. The source continued. It was the best spot for summer drinking. As the south spotlights were turned on to illuminate Big Ben, we would amuse ourselves and baffle tourists below by making shadow puppets against the brickwork of the clock. So that's the brickwork. So that's like a Batman sign they made, kind of. Once we drank the Westminster Tesco out of Porsetto, we raided the place and took it all up onto the roof. Every single bottle. There must have been 40 empties. There is even a routine for the morning after. Pals meet for breakfast clubs in the offices of the stricter MPs, who demand their Westminster phones be manned as often as possible. The aides eat subsidized bacon sandwiches and take turns to drawl politely to concerned constituents. Then it's back to the bars. The party doesn't stop in the Parliament's summer recess either. Okay. You could always clear up the next day. That's when the new seasoned aides are joined by a dozen of even younger interns, undergraduates, or ambitious sixth formers hoping to buff their CVs with a few weeks' work, stuffing envelopes for their local MP. This muttered one male researcher doubtly is known as hunting season. Another former cabinet minister aide explained it was badge of honor to have sex on the parliamentary estate while you could. He said everyone did it. You had the keys to your MP's office, which usually has a desk and usually a sofa. You could always clear up the next day. Nothing, however, was more an event than the annual party conferences. A former Labour staffer told us yesterday many would start drinking at lunchtime and stay up until dawn. For the next fortnight, almost everyone had conference flu. Loads of people applied for passes but didn't book accommodation as they knew once there, it would be easy to find a partner and bed for each night. You were bound to have a lucky every time, and what goes on in Blackpool stays in Blackpool. Okay, so we have all the pictures here too. So we have pictures of the bars here and excess, the line of cocaine. And we also have Commons Bar, one of the drinking areas here in the Parliament, and also Churchill Bar. Also, okay, so we have a claim of Fling, Alexander Patterson, and MP Robert Halfon.